Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed our pleasure to have Dr. Aditi Patel ma'am, who is a ranker from 2013 batch, and she is a doctor turned civil servant. Apart from that, she had numerous qualities, hobbies, what you say, a list of numerous things. She is a traveler, she is a teacher, she is a mentor, lot of activities, and she has very much exposure in guiding a lot of aspirants, and she has also been part of various reputed institutes in Delhi as a member, as a faculty, and core member in mock interview panels as well. One of the best famed Drishti IAS Academy as well. So without any further ado, I would like to hand over the session to Aditi ma'am.
So good afternoon, everyone. Good. So apart from the introduction he just mentioned, I'll say a few more things so that my credibility is established a little further. So CSE 13 was my first attempt, and I cleared it in my first attempt. And subsequently, I gave 3 more attempts, and I appeared in interview in all the 3, and I got into the list again in my third attempt. But I didn't fill any choice other than IAS, so my service was not changed. So I continue to be in Indian Railway Personal Service as of now. Yes. So I have been in service for 7 years now. Currently, I'm on study leave. So all this mentoring thing have taken I have little time to spare. So I've been doing this interaction with the students since long. So this is, since I'm in study leave, I get a little more time. So this mock interview and strategy and motivation sessions have been. My voice is clear because it's little, what to say, recording in my head. I've not used this mic before. So that was my UPSC journey, and since then I have done, as he said, traveling. I have a travel YouTube channel. I share travel reels on Instagram. So all that is that is the crux of this today's session as well, to make you understand that UPSC is a big platform, but then it's not the only one. It's not the end of the life. Huh? It's just a starting of a journey, and then you can go miles ahead in the direction you want, right? So I'll be honest. This is not this lecture. This session would not be only. I know that the message would not be like UPSC is the thing, and if you get into, oh my God, your life will change, and then nothing else matters, and you should put every effort into that, all that. All that is true. All that is true. UPSC is the biggest platform in India where your life changes overnight. But then, it's not the end of the journey, right? So let's start the session. All of you, I have gathered that you have finished 6 to 7 months of classes. Mostly that's. Yeah, so it's not like I'm talking to like just starting group, right? Don't take too much, don't worry too much about writing. Okay, let's talk about general things first. And if you think like, because I'll not be taking a lecture wala mode, na? Aise karna, waise karna. Okay, so first of all of you read newspapers on your own? Or not? I don't hear a unanimous voice. No? No, then you should do it. Right? So we'll keep this session candid, okay? I'll stress upon few points, and then you can keep interacting in the session itself, right? So that it doesn't become boring. Being boring is the biggest fear of any lecturer in this field, I guess. The attention span of you guys is decreasing a lot. You have one person has to be entertaining, and with the content you have to entertain the class as well. So are you that kind of group? Yes? No, there's nothing to be proud of, okay? Understand this. This is the way interview goes. They'll make you say things which you feel like they want to hear, but it's actually the exactly opposite thing of what they think is right, right? So all these things will, so let's start the session. First of all, um, let's take point by point. First of all, I feel the biggest thing which I can share with you is, in this process, most of the students, most of us start this journey with lots of insecurities. Why? Because we have kept our career on hold. We are not college students anymore. We have completed our graduation. We could have been employed somewhere else like our friends, but we have stopped that. We have taken a break. We have taken a risk to appear into an exam which success rate is very less. That's true. Out of 9-10 lakh people appearing, only 90 get into IAS, 700-800 into the total combined list. So everybody has this insecurity. Even I had that insecurity having cleared PMT in my first attempt. I had this insecurity. Why? Because I used to think now people from AIMS would also be coming. And I was lower than them in rank in my PMT. Now again I'm appearing into a competitive exam. How will I be able to make into that list? That insecurity is there. So what happens in that insecurity is, you start thinking that you have to do something totally different. You have to invent an answer of the points nobody knows of. Right? This is usually the understanding when we start. So what we do is, we try to read university wala lectures, or we try to follow some good philosopher or a thinker. So that is happening with you or not? Do you share this concern or not? Because that fear of how will you make a difference? How would you stand out? Everybody of you sitting in the same class, everybody is sitting, learning with the same teacher, same notes. Now to even more so, every Delhi coaching notes or every notes is available on Telegram. In our time to even that access was little less. Now to it's like everybody has access to the same points, same lectures, same newspaper analysis, everything. So how do you make yourself stand out? That apprehension keeps working in the back of your mind. Am I right or not? If you say yes, then only I'll continue. But if you don't have this fear, why should I explain it? What to do about it? So this is the biggest mistake we do when we start. Nothing extraordinary needs to be done in this exam. Keep that in mind. Nothing extraordinary. Rest of the exams, PMT, IIT, there you need to show your excellence, brilliance. In UPSC, nothing extraordinary. And if you observe the topper's answer sheet, you will recognize that the more basic you are, the more marks you will get. The more genuine you appear, the more unpolished you appear, the more marks you will get. This has been pattern. You know, this time UPSC is an organization which keeps on track what coachings are doing. And they try to do things to undo that effect. This time, you know, interviews have been staggered from January to May. And you know, insider information is that this has been done to prevent that mock wala preparation. Everybody is going and studying of the same questions, and they're prepared for the current affairs and what is going on, that the questions are asked. So this staggering has been done for the first time, because this mock interview culture was increasing day by day. Right? So whatever coachings are doing, whatever institutes are doing, UPSC tries to stay one step ahead. Similarly, there was a pattern where current affairs was being asked. But then UPSC got to know that everybody is reading it from the notes. Right? So now they have shifted their pattern to more of basic, more of mixed kind of. So UPSC would always be a step ahead. ठीक है. So wherever you appear like you have been prepared or you are writing on a same pattern which has been taught by some institute, some wo. So UPSC I feel discourages that. That originality, however crude it may be, is appreciated in UPSC. So don't worry too much about quality of your answers, quality of your preparation, but just your determined will and your coverage of as many topics. The syllabus vastly is what is important, right? Your personality should be reflected. That is the second next point I'll ask you to do, because in coachings we feel like we'll complete the syllabus and we'll have an opinion about everything and that will be it. No, it's not like that. You have to show that you have an independent perspective, right? You have an independent personality, right? So always keep this in mind whenever you study newspapers. Try to have opinion of your own, right? Based on sound facts. I'm not saying just go and start supporting anti-feministic views because you feel like that is correct. There's something called being politically correct also, right? So have politically correct views, but for the reasons which you only know, right? Have an independent personality is what I mean to say, right? Don't be overemphasized in this question answers format, like this is that and I have to complete this and all that. Take some time from the bookish preparation and take an hour or 1.5 hours every day since the start of your preparation to have a reasoning kind of logical way. See? So these are the two important things. And one more about this fear of being, what if we don't get selected? That fear also reflects in our journey. And why I'm saying this, if you're too much in that state of fear, too much state of pressure, you will not be able to perform as well, right? So please do not worry about the results too much. This is a journey which is a very beautiful journey. It is different from any other exam. Even if you don't get selected and you have put in your hard, determined efforts, you will be more equipped than any other person in any other field outside UPSC's realm. So don't do it the whole process only with the thing that if I see in my name in the list, then it's okay, otherwise my life is ruined. Please don't be starting this preparation with this mentality. See? So I said, because I'll be candid, because all the things which people say, you already know. You have been doing this for 6-7 months now. So what I'm trying to do is get to you as many practical things as much I can from my learnings. So please don't think about that. Okay? So this should be your mentality to start with, that it is a beautiful journey, and it would be, by the end of it, I'll be a more determined, a more stronger, a more well-aware, well-prepared person for all walks of life, right? With that mentality, we should start this journey. Why this is important? Again, this is not only important for your positive mindset, this is also important because when you manage this whole syllabus and you feel disheartened by it, कि कुछ हो ही नहीं रहा है, everybody feels like that. To be honest, however confident the selected people may appear, after getting selected before seeing their name, trust me, nobody knows if they're gonna see their name or not. Even the rank 1 holder. Nobody is sure. Because all the people who appear for interview are more or less on the same skill level set. Few things which matter here and there, optional ka 2-4 mark idhar ho gaya, interview ka panel ye ho gaya and all that. So nobody knows. Right? So it's overwhelming sometimes because the cost is that is the biggest issue which I think you will all agree, that vastness of the syllabus is the biggest challenge for UPSC journey, right? Nothing is rocket science. Everything is understandable if you put time, but there's so many things and so less time. है ना? Because everything on earth you need to know. World geography से लेके Indian society से लेके everything, disaster management सब कुछ घुसा दिया. हाँ? Philosopher, अब Western philosopher पढ़ो, Indian philosopher पढ़ो. So the syllabus becomes too vast. So if you enjoy the journey, if you do this work thinking that even if it doesn't leads to success in UPSC, it still somehow would make me a better person, then you'll not feel ki na this is some burden put on me. Right? So that is the I feel that was my strongest point. Ki I used to see every subject as something which I'm learning new, which is creating value addition to my personality. And I used to find creative ways to keep this whole process of learning, entertaining. For just a small example, like while studying geography becomes too much technical, right? And so what I used to do is, while studying geography, I like travel and all. So I would I'm studying South America's world geography. So while studying it, what I'll do is mark the cities, make a travel route plan. When I'll take a break, I'll go back, I'll search how much it will cost. How much it will cost, and all these small things. Then I would remember those landmarks, those cities, those geographical phenomena, what angel waterfalls and all, where are they, how distance are there, which river is flowing. All that used to become part of my long-term memory. Right? So you have to be creative because the syllabus is so vast. This must be happening with you now also. You're studying polity, you feel like I'm confident, I know everything. Once you start history, 15 days down the line, you feel, what is, and I don't remember polity. That must be happening, right? So how, this will happen even after 3-4 years, trust me. It's not like because this is your first year, you're feeling. If you don't tackle it well now, it will keep happening even if you continue this preparation for 5-6 years. Okay? So, try to find a way to learn and make it into your long-term memory. And this way can only be your original way. No teacher can tell you what to do. You have to find your way to make it interesting and how to remember things. So that is most important point. Whatever you're reading, you should be able to remember it and you should be able to reproduce it when required in mains. There's no point in going on reading without revising and without being able to reproduce it. Right? So coming on to my next important teaching is, see this whole process in a very integrated way. Never think that I have to clear pre first, then I'll think about mains. Once I clear mains, then I'll be thinking what is asked in interview. It's not at all like that. You have to keep the whole integrated process in mind since the beginning. Why I'm saying all this is because, first attempt is the attempt which is the most rewarding attempt. In all sense. Nobody would tell you this, key interview marks depend on the number of attempts, but that is an unsaid rule. If you reach to an interview panel in your first attempt, definitely you will be scoring good marks, even if you feel ki you don't know lots of international relations issues, you didn't answer many political questions and all that. Of all my 4 attempts, I scored the highest in my first attempt interview. And to be honest, my answers were more thorough in the next attempts, but still I got less marks because board also now you have got time to think about it. Now you have time to polish it more further and further. So the first attempt is the most important. Why I'm saying is there's another reason also. Once you enter the cycle, you give a pre, you and if by God's grace you qualify, you appear for mains. Even if you're not prepared, after giving mains, you will be hopeful to clear and you will be thinking about the interview and talking skills, your communication skills and all. And by the time you will be finished with the interview, your next pre would be standing in your head. Like this year also, 18th May is the last date of interview. Yeah, 28th May is your pre. Right? So once you enter the cycle, it becomes very difficult to upgrade your knowledge base. Uske baad it becomes an automated kind of routine where you that work you have put in your first year only gets reflected in your subsequent attempts. So it's not about clearing the exam in first attempts only. It is all about your quality in your subsequent attempts as well. Okay, so this is also one of my teachings. Unless you're prepared to write a mains, at least do not give your first attempt. We feel like when we are young, we feel like ki already 1 year we have put into it and family pressure is there, ki de ke to dekho and all. So this is this is not a exam which is jo usko aap examination hall mein de ke dekhenge. Okay, that for that a question paper is available that you can do on your own time. Don't use your first attempt to get familiarized with the system. Okay, so keep in mind that your first attempt is your most important attempt, and the hours you put in now, the number of revisions you put, the notes you make for yourself, the current analysis you do, that would be your quality in your subsequent attempts also. We feel like कि अभी तो 1 साल हुआ है, 2-3 साल में we'll be able to improve and all. That doesn't happen like that. It's very difficult to improve once you have entered the cycle with all your best possible intentions. Not that people get lazy and all, but even with the bestest of intentional, it becomes difficult. So put in effort now. Okay. So this is, and then now coming on to the newspapers, the point I was saying about having a own personality, that will come only when you read articles on your own and you try to make sense of the article at least in rudimentary form on your own. Why I am saying this? From beginning, do not rely only on synopsis kind of material. Okay? That is very necessary for prelims, that is very necessary to create points in exam. But then you have to write an ethics paper also. You have to write an essay also. You have to appear for an interview also. And trust me, if you don't complete this journey, qualifying prelims, qualifying mains, there's no value to it. It becomes more frustrating because you come in the limelight of your family or society, and then that failure pains you even more. So what I'm saying is, always think of this journey in an integrated way. Okay? And my next point is connected to the point I just said. What happens in our preparation is the subjects which are definitive, like polity. You have to study Lakshmikant, right? Geography, you have to study NCRTs, GC Leong. That is more than enough. Economy, you have certain phenomena, you understand concept of GDP, you understand concept of monetary policy, fiscal policy. So all this it looks definitive. So what our mind tends to do is to overcome that fear which I was talking in the earlier. It tries to spend more time in these subjects which look definitive to you, right? Like she is nodding her head like that. She is saying, yeah, I also do that. That, see, I have experience of interacting with thousands of people, so I know this is the psychology which works. This is a human psychology which looks definite, जिसका आंसर दिखता है ना, which you can see कि गवर्नर का रोल है. Then if somebody asks if I can tell, so it gives me confidence, right? But you know, in the actual journey, the definitive part becomes the minimum basic. I'm not saying it's not important. Don't misunderstand. Try to understand what I'm saying. That definitive portion which everybody is aware of, which comes from a standard source, is minimum basic for everybody who is in the top 10,000 bracket of UPSC student. If you want your success, you need to start on that foundation. That is foundation, and then you have to climb from there. And in that, what will play a role? Your optional, your ethics ka paper, your essay ka paper, and your interview. Right? If you analyze the topper's answer and the comparison between the selected candidates and the non-selected ones, you would see that the difference creation actually happens in optional, ethics, essay. The part which most of us think that we'll do it in the end once we are thorough with our GS. So don't get me wrong, everybody thinks like, I used to think, I'm standing now here teaching you. When I was an aspirant, I gave my 4 attempts. I always used to think, yeah, I'll write at least 4-5 essays before going to in the exam. In neither of my attempts I did that. So I'm telling you from my mistakes which I have committed. So a intelligent person is one which can learn from others' mistakes. But if you're hell-bent in doing your own mistakes and learning, nobody can help. Right? So I'm saying again, because of the vastness of the syllabus and so less time between your pre and mains, revision itna sara hai, world geography, world history, all the domain disaster management, science and technology, economy, schemes, NGOs wala sections, polity, governance, all the things that you don't get time to write an essay on ethics. So if you keep these things piled up for after clearing your pre, you'll never be able to clear your mains. Right? So think about this whole process in an integrated way. If you study polity, try to read the current news as well. That in what sense this can be asked in your mains question paper. And now coming next to the next point, how will that be possible? How will you able to understand and do this in an integrated way? When you're studying the basic books, when you just started the journey, how would you decide that what is the ambit, what kind of questions would come in mains? How would you get to know this? Yes. Only and only way is previous year question papers. Even if you're not able to understand the questions fully now, do go back and keep visiting the question papers, pre-ka, mains ka, every now and then. When you finish a subject, like you're finished with polity. So, go and try to solve the sectional wise question papers of pre as well as mains. You might not be able to answer every question right now, but at least you should know kahan tak aapko jana hai, right? So if you don't have that understanding since the beginning, you will not be able to again develop it in the coming years. See, I can take 10 hours about UPSC journey, right? But what I'm trying to bring out the points which are most relevant for you in this stage, right? What are the most common mistakes which people do, right? So previous year question papers, everybody says this. This is a, what to say, biggest cliche. Every topper would say previous year question paper. But to be honest, this is the biggest mistake which all the aspirants do. It's not only about seeing the question paper. It's not only about visiting the question papers once in a month. You have to understand the basic philosophy of UPSC. UPSC that way is a very intelligent organization. No question is asked on whims and fancies of the examiner. There is an inherent pattern to it. What kind of topics are expected of you? Where sensitivity of people is shown? How do you feel about contributing to an developing India? What kind of attitude you have for the socially disadvantaged sections? Have you thought about them? Have you actually tried to know about them? Right? All this becomes important. So it's not only the bookish learnings. Right? In ethics papers, so many questions are asked. Ki, tell experience from your personal life where you faced a crisis and how did you solve that. And if you write an answer, ki, I had a chance of cheating and I didn't cheat, and that is how I prove my integrity, you'll get 1 mark. Okay, so these are the questions where you can show that you are a person who is willing to join the government and willing to contribute to make a better world. Always keep this thing in mind. Okay, as a person, if I'm willing to join a government, if I'm want to become part of the government, do I have an understanding of Indian society and the priorities of the government? Do I understand inequality in its real sense? And if I understand it, do I have a positive approach towards contributing to solving these problems? Right? All these things are very evident. You feel like, how would examiner get to know? It's just an answer copy. All these things are very subtle, and the people who are sitting in Delhi of not teaching in universities for so long, by the framing of the answers, your personality gets reflected, right? If you this becomes very evident because in ethics module also I take. So in case studies, usually the students think to show that we are confident and good people, we need to be in that activist wala mood. Jala denge, mita denge, everybody is corrupt, this is corrupt, that is corrupt, this is wrong, that is wrong. And once I enter, I'll change everything. So please don't have this kind of attitude. Problems are everywhere, right? Problems are everywhere. We have to identify those problems, but we are not to obsess on those problems. We are here to contribute to solution in whatever way possible. So have that mind and have that message in mind whenever you're writing a essay, whenever you're writing your ethics ka answer, or whenever you are writing a way forward to your polity ke answers or IR ke answers, or even why this is important may feel like this is the domain of ethics and essay. It's not like that. This is a domain of all GS. When you, even in the most technical of questions, when you are asked about poverty line or any growth prospects and whatever, in the end write 2 lines about whatever social aspect or whatever inequality wala aspect which is relevant to the subject matter of the questions asked. right? Okay. So, and now coming on to my next teaching, start answer writing. Now it's high time. If you have put in 6 months of efforts now, if you don't start answer writing, you are digging a hole for yourself. Start answer writing. A good answer can never come directly when you go into the mains examination hall. You have to write GS 1 in the morning, GS 2 in the afternoon, GS 3 the next day, GS 4 in the afternoon. You know, however prepared you are. I was a medical student. Medical's graduation has more of, what to say, technical parts, technical terms, and that kind of learning. So my memory was good. I'll say in the upper quartile of the things and all. But when you write things, when you're writing politica answer, and then you have to shift to economy, then you have to come back to ethics, and you start first paper is तो difficult of all. Society भी है, geography भी है, history भी है, everything is there. So there, you know, what you write in the answer sheet there are the things which you have written somewhere in your notes earlier, or you have written in your answers, or you have written in your test series, right? So, and don't think answer writing is a one-day process. Nobody has this capacity to write a UPSC expected answer in a day. It's all a learning process. So whenever you start, it will take time for you to reach the mains level. So it depends on you when you start. It's never, we usually think, that is again a mistake we do. We think when we'll study enough, we'll be able to write a good answer. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Don't worry about the quality of the answers just yet. You need not show it to anybody, not even to your friend. Keep it with you only. But start writing. However crude, however rudimentary kind of understanding you have, start writing. That would be your condition if you start now, if you start a year later, if you start 2 years later, even after studying for 3 years. That will be the condition. So this is a learning from, this is my learning, that is, start with the answer writing. So I got selected in my first attempt, but it was not a, what to say, it was not a hit and trial kind of thing. It was all planned. I started with my optional preparation initially. I did my optional, then I started with my GS. Okay. So pre was in June, July. So I started a June earlier. So I was thorough with my optional till August and September. Since August I started taking pre, and roughly around a month for all the basic subject, polity, history, economy, geography and all. Roughly a month. And in that month, not only through the prelims perspective, not through the perspective of just selecting the right option, right? Don't be happy कि I am able to identify the right option, because you have to write the mains also. There's no point on clearing mains if you are not able to write answer in. There's no point of clearing pre if you can't write answers in your mains. That would be the worst case scenario, I tell you, because you're not prepared, but you cannot work on your basics until you're done with the mains. Nobody on this earth would behave in a way कि नहीं मेरा प्री में हो गया है लेकिन मेरे को आंसर लिखना नहीं आता है, मैं पहले पढ़ूंगा and then answer. It can't happen. This is not humanly possible. So if you're not prepared, trust me, see, again, next teaching I'll say कि don't get disheartened by the failures, instant failures which are standing in front of you. It might be like that your failure in pre this time might be a blessing in disguise for your next attempt. So that is my next teaching to you. Unless you see your name in the list, do not stop working towards it. Not even for a single day. This is how difference is created between selected and non-selected people. Not through some extraordinary points, but a serious candidate, once he gives his pre, 3, 4, 5 days break maximum will take, but he'll start preparation of mains. What maximum students do is, they'll keep discussing about what will be the cutoff. I don't know it happens here or not. In Delhi, to all the T points, this is the discussion. इसका की से इतना आ रहा है, इसका की से इतना आ रहा है, इसका ये ऑप्शन का ये आंसर दिया इस कोचिंग ने, इस आंसर का ये क्वेश्चन मेरा इसमें से क्लियर हो रहा है, मेरा इसमें से क्लियर नहीं हो रहा है. Only the non-serious and people who want to dig hole for themselves would do this. Nothing's gonna change. What is done has been done. Okay? Either you'll clear your pre or you're not. In both the situation, even if you're not giving mains this year, you have to give mains at some point. So if you keep wasting thinking about whether I'll be able to clear pre or not, so this is not the sign of a prepared candidate. This is where the difference is reflected. Right? Similarly, after giving mains, now people, one should work on the things, the lacunas which he or she identified during writing the paper. And trust me, that analysis is only fresh when you do it immediately after giving it. After 15 days, you yourself would not remember कि मैं क्या लिख के आई हूँ, क्या लिख के नहीं आई हूँ. Because that is kind of a, what to say, emergency kind of condition where you have to write 20 answers. It's not a calm, composed situation. It's like a problem thrown at you and how you're responding to a challenge. Why UPSC is giving 20 questions? Everybody knows it's not humanly possible to address all the questions in adequate manner. 20 questions writing in 3 hours. But why are they giving that? Just to see how you manage your time. Are you able to address are you able to optimize your time? Right? And that, are you attempting all the questions, or you are so obsessed about showing your intellect in one question that you are not attempting all the questions? All these things you don't understand now, but after you finish this whole process, you will be able to understand. UPSC is all about your psychology. It's not about your IQ at all. I have seen so many above average intelligent people fail in this exam. And people who have been labeled average students all their life succeed here. Why? What is required is they don't give up. They don't waste their time. They don't spend time on things which are not in their control. Right? So many things. Similarly, after giving mains, other kind of discussions start. This year, this optional is doing good. They're favoring this optional. They're disfavoring that optional. The things which are not in your hand, all these things you should think before giving, before choosing it. Once you have selected, once you have prepared, there's no point in unnecessarily comparing yourself to another optional. What is done, right? So then you should work on the areas which you think you lagged on, right? Just after the mains, you should work on those areas at least for a month, those selected areas. And then after that, you can start your interview kind of little interview preparation mixed with your basic preparation. Right? You should start talking more to people, interacting more, talking about taking a topic and giving a 10 minutes, 15 minutes lecture, like imagining that you were giving a lecture, that mirror kind of practice you should do, right? So, all these things are important. ठीक है? So, and what else should I say? I think सब कुछ बोल ही दिया मैंने और कुछ let me see, I made some points but now after this and these many years na, it's like sequencing might change, but the thing which come from what to say experience na, they don't, it won't change according to the structure of the lecture. So anything else you think you would want to ask me? And like let me talk a little bit about how to keep your mind sane during the preparation. That is very important. See, it's very easy to say ki have a positive outlook, don't think too much about the results, everything is fine. You would say she is standing, she is selected, it's easy for her to say. It is true. It is true in a sense. Maybe I would not have got selected, maybe I would have not been in what to say this much spirited kind of attitude, but so it's easy to tell ki don't think about results too much. So we are putting lot at stake, and हम तो जो करते हैं parents and their expectations, they kind of make us worry too much, है ना? And then coupled with the extensive vast syllabus, right? So so everybody feels disheartened at some of the point. So but what you should think in those days is, first of all, you should believe me when I say everybody has those days. Nobody's, however intelligent, however determined, however planned a person may be, some days would come where you feel like you have not done enough, you don't know enough, right? You don't know as much as others do. You are not yet reached to the top 600, 700 category in the whole country. That you will feel. So how would you should overcome is, I say this thing for the students, like you always have to remember, to know is to know that you know nothing. If you are actually in the right path, you will get that feeling. Because the syllabus, as UPSC syllabus, if I am feeling that I know everything, then there is something wrong. ठीक है? Always know this. If you are on the right path, you will feel like there's so much to learn, so much left to do, right? But what is possible by me? What are my strengths? I have to identify those, I have to evaluate those, and I have to optimize my time accordingly. I cannot become postgraduate student in international relations, right? Then I'll be leaving out science and technology or some other thing. So don't try to get postgraduate kind of knowledge for any of the subject, but try to identify your strengths and which areas are the most rewarding in the UPSC pattern of exam, and work on those. The general principle is work on your strength and minimize your limitations so that they don't affect your selection chances. Nobody can be master of all the topics elaborated in UPSC. Take it as a given. Need not worry about कि ये नहीं आता वो नहीं आता. जो नहीं आता है उसको इतना मिनिमम लेवल पे पहुंचा दो कि बस उसके कारण ऐसा ना हो कि यू आर स्कोरिंग 60-70 मार्क्स इन वन जीएस पेपर, राइट? So if you're feeling, to always keep in mind कि there's lot to know, but am I retaining what I'm studying? First of all, am I revising what I'm studying? Am I able to reproduce it in points format? And am I aware of the topics which are important for mains while I am reading a newspaper? Do I understand from where UPSC asks questions? What is its arena? It's not difficult. It takes observation. Education, inequality, inclusive growth in terms of economic growth as well as societal growth. These are the areas which will be getting repeated in all the GS papers. Polity, economy, ethics, you have to write the same thing. It's not like ethics you have to write only about Socrates, Plato, Kant and all. You can very well write things you learned in polity and economy. But you will be able to do that only when you understand what UPSC wants from you, which is that you have sensitivity and understanding and that depth to understand what are the problems existing in India right now, what are our strengths, how do we develop our strength, and how do we reduce our problems. Right? Nobody is expecting you to come join a government and change things overnight. And we feel like that abhi. Once we join the system, it's like it's been over the years, many good people are already there. But there's some limitations which needs to be taken care. Like similarly, I tell when I take ethics ka class, no need to be in that mode that sometimes case studies asked ki, this is just a practical example I'm sharing. There was this case study in which it was written ki people under you, you're posted, you're given a post and your subordinates are indulging in corrupt behavior, and how would you go about it? So one student, while discussing it was a whole case studies, I'm not going into the details. What I want to say is one of the student is saying in the answer, ki, ma'am, it might be possible that even the superordinates are corrupt. So I might have to take the route of whistleblowing. So don't assume these things. Again, I'm saying this is where your personality gets reflected. If you think everything is corrupt, nothing is working in the government right now. So you will assume these things. In the case studies, you have only been informed that your subordinates are corrupt. And you, apne aap se, you assuming ki superordinates must also be involved. This shows that you think only you are the one who is eligible. This kind of egoistic attitude is not what is required in governance. You're part of a team. You're supposed to be working as a team. You're supposed to be working in the already existing setup. Similarly, about the economic policies. Never talk about radical measures and all ki aisa nahi hona chahiye, waisa nahi hona chahiye. All the company policies, so only Adanis and Ambanis are growing and all that kind of attitude. Please understand, you are aspiring to join a democratic government. It's not gonna become communist government the day you join. You have to work within the framework of democracy. So this also happens. See, all these experiences I'm sharing with the answers I keep seeing in that pattern I see in students. With that enthusiasm and energy they feel can be communicated through a radical stand. A strong stand is a different thing than Non-practical, radical stand. There are things where you need to take stand. Take stand when it comes to inequality of any sense. Be strong and talk. Lots needs to be done when it comes to issue of same-sex marriage. Criticize government thoroughly. They don't think about what should be done. But do not question the integrity of government ki na Adani se mile hue hain ya ye ho gaya corporate governments, nothing is happening and all that, everything is mixed up. Don't use that kind of, don't feel that kind of mentality. No, good. And to be honest, being part of the government over the years, I can't say corruption is not there, but then corruption is everywhere in every country. But similarly, good people are there in government, in every department, in every ministry, in everywhere, and at all levels. You'll find some of the Group C, Group D employees so honest and so motivated. You would not find officers like that. So do not stereotype. Keep an open-minded. Do not be prejudiced about things. Keep an open-minded. Be a good person. That gets reflected in your UPSC answer. So am I like what to say, overburdening you? You must be thinking अभी तक तो पढ़ रहे थे, अब ये क्या क्या नए नए और tasks करने पड़ेंगे. No, don't think like that. Okay, these are the things which will come naturally if you have consciousness about them. Whatever I'm saying are not difficult things to do. It's only that you must think about these things. Okay? It's not difficult to do all these things, but to have these things back in the mind is what is important, right? And also to keep your sanity, take appropriate breaks, and in 15 days and all, like I used to say कि अब एकदम वो tipping point पहुंच गया, अब कुछ नहीं जा रहा दिमाग में, take a break. What I used to do is कि सुबह से शाम तक रूम बंद कर लिया, 3, 4, 5, 6 मूवीज चल रही हैं, चला लगातार जो भी आई हैं लास्ट में, which I could not catch up with, and I'm ordering all the food I like. I'm eating. So when I'm taking a break, I'm taking a break, so that when I get up next day, I'm back with the same energy. This also happened. Never do half-heartedly anything. That you are keeping the book also, you are so ethically, morally feeling bad about it that you're not dropping the book also, you're not taking the break also, but while studying with the book in mind, you're thinking about whether Pathan was a good movie or not. Yeah. So, or any movie for that matter. So don't do that. Be present. This is what to say, a very Zen kind of philosophy, to be in the moment, which is very important for UPSC journey, I feel. People think you need to be very shrewd kind of person, very competitive kind of person to get selected in the UPSC journey. I feel otherwise. The more grounded you are, the more humble you are, the more aware you are about your own strengths and weaknesses, and the more laid back you are, like that nishkam karma wala philosophy, where you can put in efforts too much without worrying that am I gonna get result out of this or not. And that again, that Zen Eastern philosophy of being in the moment fully. When I'm studying, this also happened, like when once I was studying, again this storm started. Then the door was banging against and the leaves were moving, and that full blown storm kind of thing was, and I was into my book and I didn't even notice it. Well, I'm not exaggerating or anything, because I am not here to prove to you that I have been a good student. So what I'm saying is, but this was one of my qualities, ki once I'm into the books, nothing could distract my attention. Leave about the thoughts even if sounds start coming from outside. Try to get into the zone. And again, one important thing which you must have heard is about correlating different subjects, like being able to write a few points of paper 2 in paper 4, paper 3 and paper 1. So how do you think this correlation happens? This never happens. This would never happen only when you keep studying your books. This will happen when you 24/7 think about your goal in mind. So this might appear a contradictory thing to you, that on one hand she is saying to don't think too much about the result, and then she is saying keep 24/7 thinking about it. But if you observe closely, these are not two contradictory things. What I am trying to say is, dream about it 24/7. You should always have that at the back of the mind, ki I have to do my best. What I am trying to say it, don't too much overdwell about will my best be sufficient enough. ठीक है? You just worry about doing your best. ठीक है? So not thinking about result does not mean कि easy go way, easy lucky way में UPSC ऐसे qualify नहीं होगा. So as I said, in Delhi students want कि even Instagram reels से preparation हो जाए. Don't have that kind of effort तो लगेंगे. ठीक है? Because you are appearing to the most competitive exam. Everybody, every premier institute student is there, AIMS, IIT, whatever. Everybody is coming. So it's not an easy task. But it needs a determined kind of effort. And what I was saying about correlation is, correlation would only happen when you think about what you have studied. Right? That is very much important than studying more books. Have limited sources. Have one basic books and you read your coaching material. ठीक है? Don't too much go to ये वाला coaching, वो वाला coaching, इसका material, उसका material, यहाँ से 2 point ले लेंगे, वहाँ से 4 point ले लेंगे. It doesn't work that way. और सबसे ज़्यादा हंसी इसलिए आई क्योंकि ऐसा होता है ना? Don't do that. Don't too much be worried about making points now. ठीक है? That you can do in your last phase of mains preparation. When you have an opinion and now you just want as many as points which can be done. ठीक है? अभी से if you start juggling with sources, you will be left with nothing. In mains, when you go, you will not be able to complete your paper. You will not be. See, writing GS answer in 7 minutes, which you get, is not an easy task. Framing it totally, starting it, introducing it, making it the body, and concluding it properly, not an easy task. So that will only come when you think about the things you learn, you think about revising them, and you put in proper time in writing them, reproducing them as well. Presentation also becomes important. How? And for here, my last teaching would be, go and keep regularly checking the topper's answer sheet which are available in wherever sources you can find them. How? This one general pattern you will follow and you will observe in all the toppers answer sheet is that they subdivide the portion very beautifully. What is asked in the, and read the question properly. Do not go in, what is the graduation mode? एक topic बस एक word देखा, जो भी आता है लिख के खत्म. ऐसे नहीं करना है. क्यों? क्योंकि पेज ही कम है ना. irrelevant चीज़ों से भर दोगे एक पेज तो तुमको जो आता भी है वो दिखाने का मौका नहीं मिलेगा. So it's now it has become more difficult because limited space you have, you cannot cut your answer and write it again. Even if you had space and you're cutting on one page after writing it, you will be compromising with the quality of other answers. So take 30 seconds before starting scribbling on the paper. Make a framework in your mind. This framework thing is very clear to us in essay. सबने बता दिया कि ऐसे नहीं स्टार्ट करना है, पहले स्ट्रक्चर कर लेना. This goes for GS answers as well. Because sometimes the key words are there in the question itself. That's why I'm talking about understanding the basic philosophy of UPSC. What kind of, what to say, framing of words they do. There was this long case study in 2021. If you go back and see the paper in ethics, it was the longest case study so far. So people think, it's a long, so if you get worried about so long it is and how long the answer is, and you're so apprehensive about ki time is not left and all, and if you're not 100% there, you'll get overburdened by it, overwhelmed by it, and you'll compromise on the other case studies. But if you read it with a calm, composed mind, at the end of it, it was just written, critically analyze. Just go back and see that case study. It was about a gentleman and a private sector entrepreneur which had made a model town, town in his vicinity. It was a more of a case study of corporate social responsibility. More or less, it was, I think, based on Mr. Ratan Tata, the way he works and all. So that question was based, and at the end of it, it was only written, critically analyze the model about whether this is a suitable model for tribal areas. So that was the only thing which you had to answer. And if you have read the question, the study properly, and if you know the economics, and if you think about, if you have thought about special areas, tribal areas, backward areas, it will not take more than 5 minutes to answer that case study properly. This is how UPSC plays with you. This game is constantly going on since now, which starts with pre, it goes on to interview. Interview, what do you think? Ki if you answer something wrong, do they correct you there? They'll support you even more. Yeah, beta, what you're saying is, yeah, it's making a lot of sense. Tell me a little more about it. That's why all the people who come out of UPSC panel, if you ask them, nobody says that my interview went bad. Except for the 5-10% people who create blunders there also, so which is very obvious that they cannot refrain from shouting at them. Apart from that, everybody who comes out of that UPSC panel thinks he has given an excellent interview. So this is, so you need to be very sure about what you're saying, what you're thinking. And here, being a good person plays a lot of, if you are a good person, lot of things would be sorted essay. But if you have wrong intentions in mind, so it will be 10 times more difficult a journey for you to keep hiding those things. Okay, so I think, but I mostly have actually touched upon all the subjects all the topics I wanted to discuss with you. Any more questions you guys have? Huh. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When I was studying GS, if I'm studying polity, I'll go through the sectional wise prelims questions last 15 years, not 10 years also, last 15 years. And then I will also go back and see the sectional wise question papers or mains. Yeah. So this was a simultaneous exercise going on since my first reading of the book. I'm not saying that without reading even a chapter you should start doing that. After completing first reading of the book. No, it will take at least 2 to 3 reading of every book to be thorough with it. You know? Nobody can claim that one reading it's all done. So after the first reading of the book and your coaching content, all the lectures you are attending, your teachers, whatever they're teaching, after having a preliminary overview of the subject, go back to the question papers. Right? What else? My optional was interestingly Hindi literature. Yeah, Hindi literature. Yeah. So, so I had interest in literature also, and that too Hindi. But that was not a very good decision actually because I had to write in Devanagari script in Hindi literature and rest. So it affected my speed a bit. So, but then God has a plan. Na? Maybe that time I got into railways. If I had not got into railways, I would not have traveled so far. I would not have been here maybe. So it's so what I'm trying to say is put your best efforts. Be there 100%. Whatever you can just nichod ke put in your efforts. But then don't think about it कि अब क्या होगा क्या होगा क्या होगा. ठीक है? Any more questions? I gave it the same. I was thinking to change into anthropology. I studied anthropology because it was in. If and I would advise if something is not working for you for 1 or 2, and that you would be able to know if you are a serious candidate. That if you have put in your best efforts and it's not getting reflected in your optional, I would strongly advise to change it. Don't be scared of taking risks. UPSC is a exam which rewards the risk takers. That is true. Don't that is as again it's the game of psychology, na. Don't be too much scared of putting in effort. Maybe take a break of a year and then start again. Now to age is इतना बढ़ा दिया in so many attempts. Not very earlier. I was during my last year of MBBS. I started reading the basic books, Lakshmikant's and newspaper. And a little thing which helped me was since my school days, I was a debate kind of ऐसे वाला वो and inter school competitions में जिन बच्चों को भेजते हैं वैसा वाला kid I was there. So that helped me a bit. I feel. Age was I think 23. MBBS is a long course, na? So it was 23 in my last year, and I was doing my internship, and by the end of the internship, I could clear it. So it's not very difficult, also, but you need to do it in the right way. If you don't do the right way, 10 years are gone. Now, though, it's in Delhi culture, it's like because of the age limit has been increased and attempts have increased, people are sitting there for 10 years. This again is my last advice, and then we'll end the session. Know how to move on from UPSC. So decide कि कितना साल लगाना है, 3, 4, not more than that. There are lots of other things to be done. Okay. So I also have a Josh Talk strategy video which I took 2 weeks back, but it is mostly in Hindi. But if you are comfortable with Hindi, you can just have a quick glance through it. Okay. Any more questions? I joined Vajiram for a few days, but I didn't attend too many classes because my internship was going on. But I don't, I feel that doesn't make much difference. Yes. NCRTs and basic books was the first step. Because I was starting my preparation from Raipur, I didn't have access to coaching. For you guys, I'll say NCRT's basic books and your coaching material. Yeah. Newspaper तो I said, newspaper तो पढ़ना ही है. I used to read newspapers. I used to read India Today and all, but not Indian Express and Hindu. Nobody reads Indian Express and Hindu except for UPSC aspirants. ठीक है? Don't get too much disheartened by that. It can go in any direction, but it's not something which would be very difficult. It's just a conversation, like we have having a conversation, what you think, and it's not about the content of your answers, it's the confidence you exude, it's the clarity of your thoughts, it's the stand you take, all that is important. Don't, interview is the easiest thing if you are a sincere candidate. Don't worry too much. Interview can be done in last 2 months. If you're thorough with your syllabus and all, it just takes just that inhibition of talking in front of old people. So that happens when I went to interview, my heart was thumping so loudly, and you have to sit for 10 minutes before the previous candidates was over. So my heart was beating like, no, it will come out. And my throat was all dried up. There's a peon, I asked him, Bhaiya, please, can you get me some water? He was kind and he brought me some water. So, but you know what happened? As I said, in first interview, when I entered my board, Shatta Singh's board was there. He saw that my script and all, that DAF is there. What was his first interaction? Acha, Aditi Patel, are you a Gujarati? And then I said, no, sir. Then, are you in some way related to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel? So by the time I got a little comfortable, I smiled, and by the time my heartbeat came down. And then it was very, very, what kind of, they were sitting as if छोटा सा कोई बच्चा आ गया है and इसको ABCD पूछ के भेज देना है. And that was the interview. I got my highest marks. ठीक है? So don't worry too much about interview.